Welcome back. With the 2024 election in our sights, officials across the country are still fighting disinformation campaigns and preparing for the wave of election deniers who are already mounting campaigns against them.
Yeah, and new reporting out this morning on NBCNews.com shows that democracy is still at risk ahead of the next election cycle. NBC News senior reporter Jane Timm joins us now to explain more on this. So good morning, Jane. Thanks for being with us. There are two big topics I wanted to start off asking about this morning. Kari Lake in Arizona still contesting the election there over the midterms. We also know a top Arizona election official asking for an investigation into vote counts there. We've also got the situation in New Mexico where that Republican candidate is accused of orchestrating these drive-by shootings at the homes of Democratic officials. What are the updates there, and what does this sort of mean for election integrity?
You know, New Mexico and Arizona have been long hotbeds of conspiracy theories and election denialism, and I think you're continuing to see it continue to bubble there as I think the rest of the country grapples with how much is this going to last? How much is this going to be a continuing trend or just a Trump 2020 thing? And Kari Lake, I think, may be personally testing that question. She is continuing to challenge her loss in court. I don't think she's going to get the new election she's seeking without any evidence of fraud. We should be really clear. There really isn't evidence that there was all this widespread fraud that she alleges. But she is going to court. And not only is she going to court, she's going to the fundraising coffers of Americans and taking in a lot of money. Her personal campaign raised $2.5 million after Election Day. And that doesn't even include the money that this nonprofit she's created is probably bringing in alongside of it. Started in December as she continues to fundraise, go on television, allege that she did not actually lose the election, when in fact, the numbers show us she lost by about 17,000 votes.
And there's a Senate race in Arizona that's heating up. Who knows if she's going to throw her name into that ring?
Absolutely. And I think what election experts are telling us across the board is that the most important thing that happened in 2022 is that voters said we don't actually want election deniers running our elections. And if she continues to have a career in politics, if voters say, you know, we're okay with someone who says I didn't actually lose, that isn't what happened, that will continue to feed this. If election deniers continue to lose in 2024, experts say, you know what, maybe the dam will hold, if you will, against this threat to democracy.
Okay, but let's talk about Trump, because he just launched his third campaign and he's still saying that he lost the 2020 election. Is that a blueprint? Are you already seeing more and more candidates thinking that's my play?
You know, truly, this is the question, and that's why I'm watching Kari Lake so closely, is can other candidates replicate what he did? And even if they can't, can he replicate what he did? Is that a lightning strike moment where you had millions of Americans voting for in a new way by mail than they had ever done, adding that sort of uncertainty? You also had this massive voter education campaign that's happened all across the country in terms of just explaining mail voting to Americans, which we have been doing for 2 years, and voters have been doing with election officials. Whether or not you can continue to spread these falsehoods about the American election system, I think really depends on the voters. And I think Trump is going to test that himself, as well as I think other candidates like Kari Lake. But I mean, he got one line into his New Hampshire speech. I went looking to that speech, and the first line says he won 2 general elections. He didn't.
And that just goes to the point of so much of election denialism is about looking to the past. But we've got another election coming up next year. What is being done to sort of help this problem ahead of the next big election?
You know, there's sort of two sides of this. There's the election official side, and they're doing a lot of voter education, as well as going to the legislatures in many states to try and shore up some things like raising criminal penalties on harassment of election workers to try and dissuade and sort of intimidate people, or stop people from intimidating and trying to do the kind of thing that you're seeing in New Mexico, where you have a lot of attacks and harassment on election workers. But you're also seeing the political side. Democrats are using this as a political campaign and going to the voters and saying, really, is this who you want running your elections? And as people lose, it starts to dissuade people from saying these claims.
Always look forward to your reporting. Thank you, Jane. Appreciate it.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.